Remember, Jean-Paul Sartre was Simone de Beauvoir's partner, sort of connected for a long time romantically. Sartre, when he writes this book, Antisemite and Jew, in 1946. On the one hand, Sartre wants to try to understand how could civilized, normal people believe in a vast conspiracy theory that it's not just mass killings, it's 6 million people dead. The conference occurs in January of 1943. That's when the Germans officially declare that they're going to kill the Jews as a final solution to the Jewish question. From the day they signed the document starting the final solution to the last day of the war, you're having to kill about 200 people every hour. When Sartre is writing Antisemite and Jew, he's trying to come to an understanding about how is it that average people, not evil people, average people can come to a conclusion that Jews are responsible for everything wrong in Europe and that they should be killed, men, women, and children. And you have to understand the shock of this, because it's not just that a bunch of people are being killed, it's the massive amount in which they're being killed, it's the technological way that they're being killed, and it's that Germany did it. I think we now cannot disassociate the idea of Germany from the Holocaust, but you understand that in the 1920s, Germany was the most cosmopolitan, the most educated. Germany is one of the most liberal places. Homosexuality was legal for a while. Germany was the height of civilization. And what Sartre has to wrestle with, people, how can Germans, which everybody in the world looked to, Jean-Paul Sartre studied under a German philosopher named Heidegger who became a Nazi. How can a population of educated, intelligent, cultured, thoughtful people do those things? That's the question. Now, it shouldn't be that surprising, because thoughtful, educated Southerners in this country held human beings in chattel slavery for 400 years. So we shouldn't have been totally surprised that human beings are capable of unimaginable violence and horror. Sartre, when he writes Antisemite and Jew, how is it that anti-Semitism could be so powerful so as to let this happen? And it seems like such an easy question, but when you get under the hood of it, you're asking, what is it about a hatred of Jews that can be so powerful that all of Europe could be turned into a gigantic slaughterhouse? This is the question of Antisemite and Jew, which I think is a powerful, difficult question. So how does he begin to approach it? Well, he gives us a definition of anti-Semitism right out of the gate. It says, if a man attributes all or part of his misfortunes and those of his country to the presence of Jewish elements in the community, if he proposes to remedy the state of affairs by depriving the Jews of certain of their rights, by keeping them out of certain economic and social activities, by expelling them from the country, by exterminating all of them, well, we can say he has anti-Semitic opinions. So you get a list, right? Now, what Sartre starts immediately, right, is he wants to deconstruct this idea of anti-Semitic opinion. He wants to deconstruct that idea. Because this is the way we normally think about people's opinions, right? You believe this, and I believe this, and we think of all opinions as being fundamentally equal somehow. But Sartre says anti-Semitism is not an opinion. And you can easily see why he might say that anti-Semitism is not an opinion. I mean, again, he's writing in 1944, and he's seeing the Holocaust happen. And when your opinion includes the expulsion and extermination of people, your opinion is no longer an opinion. It's a call to action. If you like to play chess, I like to play checkers. Notice that in those cases, my opinion doesn't have any real bearing on yours. I like what I like and you like what you like. But when I have an opinion that a group of people should be expelled or exterminated, notice what my opinion does. But if I say that you don't deserve the right to exist, my opinion is no longer an opinion about a difference of opinion. My opinion is an opinion that it obliterates your right to exist. It's a call to action. Now, when we talk about anti-Semitism in this piece, I want you to hear racism, because his analysis of anti-Semitism, I think, applies to any bigotry in general. When you say something like, gay people shouldn't be gay, and if being gay is a fundamental part of their personality, part of their identity, then what you're really saying is they shouldn't exist at all. It's a homophobia, anti-Semitism, anti-black racism, or any form of racism, for Sartre, is not just an opinion among other opinions. It's saying you shouldn't exist. And I'm making up anti-Semitic ideas or racist ideas. When I publish those ideas, what I'm really doing is putting a call out to get everybody involved and the more violent people to go get you. Hitler always said, I've never attacked anybody. The idea is he just gets up there and preaches this stuff, and he opens the door, and he opens the justification for violence to happen. So first things first, right? Sartre's going to take apart this idea that racism is an opinion. Racism is not an opinion, it's a kind of action. If you believe that black people are inferior, what you're really saying is they should be deprived of rights, and in some sense they're not human. Secondly, opinions for Sartre are based on some kind of experience. There is in some sense in which you've experienced something and you developed an opinion about it. For anti-Semitism and racism to work, if I'm going to be a racist, What can't be true of even a single black person for me to be racist? But if there's a single black person that's not like my stereotype, it begins to break apart. Because if I hate all black people, and I hate them because of X, Y, and Z, and then I meet you, and you're not like that, then it opens up the possibility that my entire theory that the race is like this is just wrong. For me to believe that about everybody, it has to be true of everybody. Any kind of bigotry is going to have to involve the idea that they're all like that. And if I meet an example of someone who's not like that, my ability to be bigoted begins to break down. In order for me to do that, right, a couple things are going to be true. Is what Sarte calls a dedication to Manichaeism. Manichaeism is an ancient religion. An ancient religion comes out of Persia. It divides the world into good and evil. Everything is starkly divided. You're on one side or the other. Either you're with us or you're against us. If you don't like this country, then leave. So the first thing you have to do if you're going to be a racist is you have to separate the world into your group and then the other group. This othering business. For the other group, in this Manichaean mentality, you have to be the good guys and the victims, and they have to be the bad guys and the perpetrators. They steal our jobs, they do all the violence. So that's, they're all terrorists, right? Same with anti-Muslim bigotry, right? Those people are terrorists. You divide the world up, and you put the good guys with your group and the bad guys with the other group, right? First thing, Manichaeism. Second thing you have to do in order to have an opinion like this is you have to shut down the possibility of experiences to the contrary. Ignoring anything that disagrees with you. But importantly, right, if I want to believe that all black people are bad, the worst possible thing I can actually do is talk to them. I'm like, hey, how are you? Can I help you? Or if I fall down, they help me up. This begins to shatter my vision that all black people are bad. So the most important thing I can do is I want to separate myself from them, not interact with them, not have an experience of them. So Sarte says, Manichaean worldview. Separate everything off, good and bad, black and white, and then separate yourself. Don't interact with other people. Finally, right, you separate yourself from the facts. Confirm what you already believe, and you ignore the facts that disagree with you. What Jean-Paul Sartre said is that you become unserious, that the facts simply don't matter anymore, right? You can believe whatever you want to believe. But it's deadly because it doesn't have to take the facts serious. And this is the reason why, for instance, during the Hitler regime, they had what was called racial science. So this is the first part of this move. Separate the world into two groups, distance yourself from the group that you don't like, and ignore data that doesn't agree with it. You shut down your intelligence. So for Sartre, racism is, in its heart, self-induced stupidity. You go to the lengths of making it work. You make it work for yourself. The one group just reinforces. If you listen to Hitler's speeches, listen for him to quote a statistic. Never. Now, if you know anything about Germans, listen, Germans are numbers people. They're the kind of people that want clear numbers on stuff. They are as a people, that's the reason why we know about the Holocaust. They left such good records about their killing. If they'd have done the Holocaust in the American South, there would have been 2 records. Killed some people. The Germans kept meticulous records. Hitler never gives statistical data for anything he believes. 1, because there isn't any, and 2, because he's not appealing to that. He's appealing to fear, to hatred, to disappointment, to rage. And you listen to his speeches, that's what you hear over and over and over and over again. There are no facts and data. So it's an abandonment of the facts. Also, it's an abandonment of the complicatedness of the world. The world's complicated. When you try to find one solution for why it's bad, you're probably wrong. The lack of complicatedness is what is driving him. Key idea in Sartre and in Simone de Beauvoir is this concept of bad faith. Remember, the fundamental thing you are in existentialism is that you are free. When you act freely, but at the same time deny your freedom, this is what Sartre calls bad faith. You do something, but you blame others for your failure. Now, it doesn't mean that everything is your fault. There's all kinds of things you can't control about your own situation. When you look at the situation and nothing is your fault, Sartre calls this bad faith. And for Sartre, anti-Semitism is bad faith at the national level. Remember that definition at the very beginning of Antisemite and Jew, right? If a man attributes all or part of his own misfortunes and those of his country to the presence of Jewish elements in the community. This is what happened in Germany, right? German economy is in the tank. Blame Jewish people. It's their fault. The Germans started that war. Hitler doesn't do that, right? He doesn't blame the Versailles Treaty. He doesn't blame the League of Nations. He blames the Jews. If you blame other people, then guess what you don't have to do? Take accountability. There's no sense of responsibility here, right? Conspiracy theories and other kinds of things are just ways of passing the buck along, right? Well, the reason why you're not able to get a good job is because secret rich people control everything, right? Or the immigrants come here and took my job. But it's an act of bad faith. In fact, Sartre calls this the right to play. And it's a strange thing to say, right? We don't think of Nazi violence as being playful. The idea is they don't take anything seriously. Because if you fundamentally don't live in reality like the rest of us, and you live in some conspiracy theory-driven nonsense, well, then you can do whatever you want. If you have a unique vision into what's really going on, and you believe that the entire world's part of this conspiracy, then you automatically believe that law isn't working. So what do? Do it yourself. And Sarte thinks that is an act of play. You're not being serious. You're not taking seriously the reality that you don't get to go do whatever you want. Because what do serious people do? They look at facts, they look at figures, they look at data, they look at history, and they try to figure out what's really going on. Otherwise, you're just playing around. There's nothing more serious than a joke. There's a concept that he calls the longing for impenetrability. Sarte thinks, right, that part of what they want, it's not that I don't want to hate Muslims or don't want to hate black people if I'm a bigot. It's that I actually don't want to be open to the world at all. Because think about it. This reality is never satisfying because let's say you accept this Manichaean world. You're the good guys and they're the bad guys. As long as you keep your beliefs up, you get to always be the good guys. The real world is not satisfying because you have to take responsibility for your situation and you don't get to always be the good guy. You don't always get to be the victim. They don't want to be open to the outside world because the outside world is scary and frightening and hostile. So what do? Lock down, put a barrier up, and everything else becomes someone else's. Everything else becomes not their fault. Same with conspiracy theories, right? The reason why everything works out with me is because the government's against me, and this is against me, and the Illuminati's got everything. They want to be impenetrable, is what Sarte says. Now, there's a reason for that. We live in a terrifying world. We do live in a world where it's hard to get a job. People do crazy things, to shoot people and blow things up. It's not totally irrational. The motivation, the emotional motivation is not totally irrational. It's a trauma response, not thought. And Sarte says they want to be impenetrable because they don't want to be traumatized anymore. They're afraid.